All right. Well, the results have been announced. It's been a little over an hour and a half by the time of this recording. But the big news is David Ortiz is the only one that was voted by the writers to go into the Baseball Hall of Fame for the class of 2022, bringing the total number to 7, which includes the 6 electees from the 2 era committees. Gonna read a little bit of this uh, story from the Baseball Hall of Fame website. David Ortiz, a Boston legend with a batting pedigree, the envy of any slugger over the past 25 years, has been added to the powerhouse roster of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. The 46-year-old native of the Dominican Republic, Ortiz became the 58th player elected to the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. The Hall of Fame class of 2022, which included 6 electees from a pair of era committees, will be inducted on Sunday, July 24th in Cooperstown. Ortiz received 307 of the 394 votes cast for a percentage of 77.9 and results announced on Tuesday, January 25th. Candidates must appear on at least 75% of all ballots cast to earn election. This year's BBWAA ballot featured 30 players, including 13 first-year candidates. Of the 394 ballots cast, 296 votes were needed for the 75% threshold necessary for election. With the addition of Ortiz, the total number of Hall of Fame electees increased to 340. So, David Ortiz, the only one that got into the Hall of Fame. The results that are already up, the 2 big ones, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, where would they end up? Barry Bonds had 66% of the votes. He was 36 short of election. Roger Clemens was 39 votes short at 65.2%. Kurt Schilling, who pretty much talked his way out of getting voted in by the writers when he said, "Don't put me on the ballot," got 58.6% of the votes, and Sammy Sosa got 18.5%. Those 4, it was their last year of eligibility on the ballot. They are no longer on it. They will have to get elected through a committee. Scott Rowland, who at this point is now of the people that are going to be back on the ballot next year, 63.2% of votes. He is the highest of the people that are going to be on the ballot for next year of those returning. Todd Helton, 52%, Billy Wagner, 51%, Andrew Jones, 41.1%, Gary Sheffield, 40.6%, and Alex Rodriguez at 34.3%. A name that I should mention is Jeff Kent. Next year will be his last year of eligibility on the ballot. He had 32.7% of the votes, so next year he's going to need a 43% jump to get in. The individuals that are going to be off the ballot because they received less than 5% of votes: Joe Nathan, Tim Hudson, Tim Lincecum, Ryan Howard, Mark Teixeira, Justin Morneau, Jonathan Papelbon, Prince Fielder, A.J. Pierzynski, Carl Crawford, and Jake Peavy off the ballot next year. They did not get the 5% vote necessary to get in. So the individuals that are going to be on the ballot, that are returning on the ballot next year: Scott Rowland, Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Alex Rodriguez, Jeff Kent, Manny Ramirez, Omar Vizquel, Andy Pettit, Jimmy Rollins, Bobby Abreu, Mark Burley, and Torrey Hunter. Those are going to be the individuals who will be on the ballot again next year. Now, something to keep an eye on are the people that are eligible for being on the ballot for the first time next year. Carlos Beltran is the one that leads the way. Other individuals include Matt Cain, Andre Ethier, John Lackey, Mike Napoli, Johnny Peralta, Francisco Rodriguez, Houston Street, Jared Weaver, and Jason Worth are going to be the individuals that are going to be first year eligible. We'll see if they get, if some or all of them will be on the ballot. I got a feeling that all of them will be on the ballot next year. Where that goes as far as voting, well, we'll have to wait a year from now to see what happens. And I want to mention real quick before I end this video, this is the final year today for Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, and Sosa to be voted in by the baseball writers. Their fate now will go to a committee. And there is a good chance that the next committee, which is the Today's Game Committee, there's a good chance come the end of this year we might see 2 or 3 of those names up for consideration for election to get into the Hall of Fame. Will any of them get voted in? I think eventually they will. The one I'm not so sure of is Sosa. That's the one I don't know. I'm not certain if he will get in. But I do think at some point, Schilling will get in, Clemens will get in, Bonds will get in, but it's going to have to go through a committee. And depending on when, number one, when they do these committees, and then eventually every few years they have to change, like these different committees. Right now there's 4 committees. Who knows if they're going to change them in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or even 2 years. It is possible. So keep that in mind when we get back to about November and into December, when the discussion of who is going to be a finalist in the Today's Game Committee, when they get talked about in December for election. So congratulations to Big Papi David Ortiz, Senor Octobre, for his election into the Baseball Hall of Fame.